Well, it is winter time, and I would like to very quickly do just a video on what I do with my giant geckos during the winter. And it's actually pretty simple if you live in an area of the world where the temperatures are pretty moderate year-round. Here's my female. Her name is Dark Matter, as chosen by me from the suggestions that were given. And she likes to hide back behind the back wall of the enclosure. But anyways, I've had people ask about what to do in the wintertime as far as putting your animals through a cooling period. All I can really tell you is what I do. And I don't do anything special as far as the temperature goes. You'll note that right now inside their cage, the temperature is a good 68.7 degrees, which is slightly cooler, and at night it'll get cooler than that. My house just kind of regularly cycles in temperature during the wintertime, and so on average in the wintertime in my house it's in the mid 60s. Sometimes at night we let it get down to the low 60s, and that's just to save on energy cost. And I think most people in the U.S. have this kind of normal temperature change. If you're living in some, Florida, Texas, Louisiana, I don't know, some of the more southern states, that might not occur. But as far as temperature, that's what I do. I just depend on that regular drop in temperature. Now, as far as things that I change feeding, and I also change the humidity. One thing, and I don't know if you can really tell this from looking on the video, but the substrate is much drier than it normally is. And so what I do during the spring and the summer is I will regularly pour water into the substrate, and I have the hydro balls that will actually retain most of that, and so the humidity stays 80 or above during the spring and summer. Now during the winter months, to simulate what naturally happens in New Caledonia, I let the enclosure get much drier, and so I don't actually put any additional water into the substrate. And I usually stop doing that, around September and October. And I do spray the cage, but I will spray it with just mist it with a water bottle about once or twice a week. And so the humidity stays low, and this works out well. I've never noticed any problem with my organisms in terms of their shedding. They never seem to have any difficulty, even when the humidity gets to 50 or 60, which is usually where it kind of stays when I make this change. And then I usually feed them a little bit less this time of year. Now, once February starts to roll around and I'm getting closer to where I'm going to put them together again and they're going to breed, I'll start really beefing up the diet. That way the females can really put on weight, etc. But, so slightly cooler temperatures, making it a bit drier during the wintertime, and back off on the feeding a little. Maybe one week I'll only feed them twice. The next week I'll feed them 3 times. Then I might go 2 or 3 weeks and only feed them twice a week. So it's just a reduction in feeding, not a huge reduction though. So those are the 3 major changes that I do during the wintertime. And honestly, the rest of it really just kind of takes care of itself. And once again, you can really see how dry the substrate is, and there's a little bit of moisture down there just from where the water bowl gets stepped in and kind of spills over, but the drop in humidity is a significant one, and this seems to work well for me. If you do notice that your animals are having trouble shedding when you do this, then you definitely need to get the humidity back up. It's certainly not worth having any kind of health issues there.